What if I told you that somewhere in the remote forests of North America, there exists a creature so terrifying that indigenous peoples have warned about it for over 1,000 years? The clips you're about to see have left experts questioning everything they thought they knew about what lurks in the wilderness. Haunting howls that defy explanation, shadowy figures stalking campers, glowing red eyes emerging from underground caves. These aren't just stories anymore. They're documented encounters, and they all point to one chilling possibility. The Wendigo is real. The Wendigo comes from the spiritual traditions of North American Algonquin tribes and other indigenous nations of the Great Lakes region and northern Canada. According to folklore, the Wendigo is associated with winter and described as a fearsome beast that stalks and eats humans. The transformation begins with desperation. During harsh winters when starvation threatens, some would make an unthinkable choice of consuming human flesh to survive. But this act comes with a terrible price. Once someone crosses that line, they become something else entirely. Most horrifying of all, it retains an insatiable hunger for human flesh that can never be satisfied. Physical descriptions vary, but certain elements remain consistent. The creature is impossibly tall. Its body is skeletal and emaciated, skin yellowed and stretched over protruding bones. But the most chilling feature is its eyes, glowing like embers, capable of seeing clearly through the thickest forest night. While skeptics dismiss the Wendigo as folklore, the encounters you're about to see suggest otherwise. From Ontario forests to underground caves, something matching these ancient descriptions continues to be witnessed today. Was it the Wendigo? You be the judge. Strange howls in northwestern Ontario. Deep in the wilderness of northwestern Ontario, Canada, something ancient may still roam the endless forests. What you're about to hear has left seasoned hunters and indigenous elders questioning what lurks beyond the tree line. The following recording comes from Gino Mikas, a lifelong hunter from Sioux Lookout, Ontario. Mikas learned to track game alongside his grandfather. He knows the sounds of the Canadian wilderness better than most. On October 3, 2019, Mikas was hunting grouse with his wife and grandson in dense forests more than 50 kilometers from civilization. The area was typical of northwestern Ontario, thick canopies of spruce and birch, and the kind of silence that makes city dwellers uncomfortable. As the family moved through the underbrush, a series of sounds echoed through the forest that stopped them dead. These weren't the familiar calls of any animal Mikas had encountered. The sounds were deep, resonant howls with an almost metallic quality. Recognizing something extraordinary, Mikas pulled out his phone and began recording. The sounds continued for several minutes with an intensity that seemed to penetrate the very ground beneath their feet. Even Mikas's grandson, who had grown up in these woods, appeared visibly shaken. The sounds were too sustained to be wind, too unusual for known bear calls, and too resonant for smaller wildlife. To this day, the sounds remain a complete mystery. Was it an unknown animal, a natural phenomenon, or something far more ancient from Algonquin legend? But the Wendigo doesn't announce itself with sounds alone. Stalked at the campsite. It is also known for something far more terrifying: its hunting behavior. According to indigenous folklore, this creature stalks its prey for hours, sometimes days, watching from the shadows before making its move. Jake Travis, known online as the Hoggart Project, documented what he describes as the most terrifying camping experience of his life. What started as a peaceful night in the mountains quickly became a nightmare that left him questioning everything he thought he knew about wilderness safety. On this particular evening, Travis had found what seemed like the perfect spot, a level area near a creek in the mountains, far from civilization. After setting up his tarp and gathering firewood, he settled in for what should have been a routine night under the stars. But as darkness fell, things began to go wrong.
I don't know if that was me.
First came the sounds, heavy thuds and crashes from the forest around his campsite. Initially dismissing them as falling logs, he continued with his setup. However, the sounds persisted, and they seemed to be getting closer. As he sat by his fire, another series of loud crashes erupted from the darkness, this time from a different direction. The sounds were deliberate, too coordinated to be random forest debris. When he shone his flashlight into the tree line, the sounds immediately stopped. For several minutes, he swept his beam across the darkness, searching for movement. Nothing. Complete silence. But the feeling of being watched remained overwhelming. This pattern continued for over an hour, sounds from the darkness, followed by absolute silence whenever he investigated with his light. Something was clearly circling his campsite, studying him, waiting. Finally, the persistent feeling of being stalked became too much. He made the difficult decision to abandon his campsite and retreat to his vehicle. But as he packed his gear in the darkness, the most terrifying part was yet to come. After loading everything into his vehicle, he took one final look back toward the creek. Initially, his low-beam headlights revealed nothing unusual, just the empty forest where his campsite had been. Then he switched to high beams, and that's when he saw it. Standing motionless on the side of the road, approximately 6 feet tall, was a humanoid figure dressed in what appeared to be camouflage. The figure was positioned at a 45-degree angle, its back partially turned away, as if it had been caught mid-approach. But what made the encounter truly terrifying wasn't just the figure's presence, it was its behavior. Upon being illuminated by the headlights, the figure had frozen completely, like a statue. For 20 full seconds, neither the camper nor the figure moved. 20 seconds of absolute stillness while they observed each other across the darkness. The figure's positioning suggested it had been moving toward the campsite when the headlights caught it. Its frozen, statue-like behavior was unlike any normal human reaction to being discovered. Eventually, Travis looked away briefly. When he looked back, the figure had vanished completely. No sound of movement, no rustling branches. It had simply disappeared into the darkness as silently as it had been stalking. The systematic hunting behavior described matches Wendigo folklore with chilling accuracy. But sometimes, encounters become far more direct. The lost footage. While many Wendigo encounters involve distant sounds or fleeting glimpses, what you're about to see allegedly shows something far more direct and terrifying. This next piece of footage has circulated online for years, sparking intense debate about its authenticity. The video in question supposedly originated in 1997, when a couple went camping in a remote wilderness area. According to the story that accompanies the footage, the pair became lost during their trip and were never seen again. Search and rescue teams discovered their campsite days later, completely destroyed. Among the scattered belongings, they found a video camera with this recording still intact. What makes this footage particularly unsettling is that it appears to capture the couple's final moments. The video shows what seems to be a normal camping trip that suddenly turns into a nightmare.
Did you see that?
The desperation in their voices is unmistakable.
Over there, look, over there. Do you see that?
What the hell?
You can hear them spotting something moving through the trees, something they immediately recognize as unnatural. Their panic escalates rapidly as whatever they're seeing gets closer.
I don't like this.
You see that? Right there. Look.
Oh my god.
The woman's repeated insistence that this is not an animal
That's not an animal.
suggests they were looking at something that defied their understanding of local wildlife. The terror in her voice as she urges them to flee indicates they were witnessing something truly horrifying. The footage cuts off abruptly as they flee, leaving viewers with nothing but questions. Whether authentic or not, the footage taps into our deepest fears about what might be watching us from the darkness of remote forests. It represents the nightmare scenario that every camper secretly dreads, being hunted by something that sees them as prey. But the most chilling encounters happen when you'd least expect them. Eyes in the underground. While most Wendigo encounters occur in dense forests above ground, indigenous folklore suggests these creatures also inhabit caves and underground layers. What you're about to see may be the most terrifying evidence yet of what lurks beneath our feet. On July 14, 2024, two urban explorers ventured into an abandoned underground cave system. Armed only with flashlights and camera equipment, they entered what they believed would be an empty exploration. The location showed clear signs of both human and animal presence. Old footprints, scattered mouse bones, and strange debris littered the cave floor. As they moved deeper into the darkness, their casual conversation quickly turned to something far more sinister. The first sign that something was wrong came in the form of unusual sounds echoing from the depths of the cave.
All right, let's go. I guess let's go investigate.
What started as a curious investigation soon escalated into something that would challenge everything they thought they knew about what lives in the darkness. The terror in their voices is unmistakable. After cutting their lights, they immediately spotted glowing red eyes staring at them from the darkness, accompanied by a low, menacing growl that sent them into full panic mode.
Wait. Okay, douse your light real quick. Shh. Douse your lights.
Rather than immediately attacking, it seemed to be studying the explorers, watching them from the shadows with an intelligence that suggested this was no ordinary animal. The fact that this creature remained hidden until the explorers turned off their lights suggests cunning that goes beyond normal predatory instinct. Even more disturbing is what happened next. The creature didn't simply flee when discovered. It actively began hunting them through the cave system. The explorers found themselves trapped between the creature behind them and treacherous cracks ahead. What's particularly unsettling about this footage is the creature's apparent familiarity with the cave system. It moved through the darkness with confidence, suggesting this was not only its territory, but its hunting ground, where it had cornered prey before. After what felt like hours of being stalked through the underground labyrinth, the explorers finally spotted daylight and managed to escape. But their ordeal raises disturbing questions about what might be living in the countless unexplored cave systems throughout North America. Whether this footage captures genuine evidence of a Wendigo or represents an encounter with some unknown subterranean creature, one thing remains clear. Things are living in the darkness beneath our feet, and we're only beginning to understand. From the mysterious howls captured in Ontario's wilderness to glowing eyes in underground caves, we've examined 4 encounters that challenge our understanding of what roams North America's remote places. But here's what's truly unsettling. Indigenous peoples didn't create Wendigo stories as entertainment. They were warnings, passed down through generations who lived intimately with these forests. What did they know that we've forgotten? If you enjoyed this investigation, hit that like button and subscribe for more mysterious encounters. As always, what's your stance on this? Paranormal or not? Let me know in the comments.